morning, this is Mrs. Heisenbuttel, and today we're going to be talking about taking modeling to another dimension. We're going to do some basic introduction stuff for Autodesk 123D design. So the first thing we want to do is we get Autodesk 123D design up and running. We're going to edit our grid and make sure it says inches. Usually it'll say centimeters or millimeters when you first start, so you have to go in and change it to inches. Once you get inches, our first task is just going to be to create a primitive box. So I'm going to go up to the primitives menu, and there's my box there, and I'm just going to pull it out, and notice down at the bottom of the screen I now get the ability to change all of the lengths, widths, and heights. So we need one that has a volume of 6, so I'm going to use 3 by 2 by 1. And then I'm going to hit enter, and all I did was type on the keyboard and hit tab to go between those 3 windows. Then to take a photo of it, I'm going to capture a screenshot and save that to my U drive because that's the only place that students can save things. So now I'm going to go and create a new folder or a new file. I'm not going to save that one because if I was a student I would, but right now I'm just kind of giving you a general idea. Now there are 2 ways to do additive drawing and then extrusions. I like to always start on the top view, and I zoom out a little bit so I can actually see stuff. You can come here and use a line to draw what you want, or I like to do it with rectangles so that I know exactly how big everything's going to be. So for example, I'm looking at my directions and I see that this needs to be 0.75 by 0.75. And then I hit enter twice to lock that in. And I'm going to go get that same tool again, and this time I'm going to start in this corner. See how it likes to start in corners, and then as I pull my mouse away I can show that it's 1.5, so it's going to be doubled the width, but it's still only going to be 0.75 in height there. And then I'm going to create one more, which is going to be down here off this corner. Again, it's going to be 0.75 by 0.75. And again, I'm just typing in my numbers and using tab to go back and forth. So now that I'm done, I always want to extrude on my home view. I'm going to extrude, and I'm looking at my directions, and I can see that this goes up 1.5. Enter. This, hold down the shift key on the keyboard, select that one. Those both extrude up 0.75. So they'll extrude up together. Now I can hit home again so I can see the whole thing, and there's my additive sketch. Now the other one that they ask you to do is a subtractive sketch, which I'm going to go create a new one. Normally I would save that to my U drive. So this is going to be my additive sketch. I'm going to start with a primitive box, and in this case I'm looking at my directions and I can see that my length is 2.25 and my width is going to be 1.5 and my height is going to be 1.5. So I'm just typing them in, hitting tab in between, hitting enter, and it drops my box right there. So now I'm going to cut things away. So I go to my top view, use my pan tool to come down so I can see the top. Now I can either create sketches with rectangles or sketches with lines. Either way is fine. I like to do rectangles. It's just me because then I know 0.75 tab 0.75. So I know this because I'm looking at my directions. And so I do 2 enters, and I'm going to cut that all the way out, but there's another one that I need to cut all the way out as well, which is down in this corner. So I'm just going to come here and 0.75 tab 0.75. Enter, enter. And then I'm going to go back to my home view so I can see, because I always want to extrude from my home view. And shift and hold down this, and now I'm going to make it cut backwards, so I'm going to make it negative 1.5. So it cuts back, whoops, negative, apparently it doesn't like that, negative 1.5. So as you can see, it's going to cut all the way down. And if I go back to my, top view here, you can see it's cut everything away. So back to the top view, I now have this square up here is the right size, but everything else only extruded 7.75. So rather than trying to do that as multiple sketches, I'm just going to click, draw my rectangle from that corner, and I'm going to make it 1.5 so it goes all the way over, and I'm going to make it 1.5 so it goes all the way down. And I'm going to hit enter twice. And you're going to say, but you're now drawing over the top of this. Yeah, but there's nothing there, so it's not going to matter. So what I'm going to do is extrude this guy back. I know it's kind of hard to see 0.75. So I'm going to extrude it back halfway, hit enter. And now you can see from my top view and my front view what I've got. So I'm going to go home. I'm going to come over to the eye and hide the sketch, and now you can see it looks exactly like my additive sketch. So there's two different ways to get the exact same thing, and I hope that that helps.